So a warm welcome back to a bit of a bonus episode here at Silveroid from the Touchline. We're absolutely delighted to be joined by 2021 Women's Rugby Player of the Year, Zoe Aldcroft, of course, one of our own. Zoe, thank you for taking the time to chat to me and Sharon today. Incredible couple of years you've had. Just how are you doing?
Yeah, really well. Obviously just come back from Six Nations, so I was on a pretty big high over the last few weeks. It's been like a really long tournament. Obviously, off the back of the World Cup, we had a few injuries like going into it and stuff. So I think just from that point of view, we've had like a really long season. So it was really good to be able to obviously do as well as we did, and obviously get the Grand Slam, and then playing in front of Twickenham in front of like a record breaking crowd was absolutely unbelievable, and like made the whole tournament. And I think that was definitely one of my favourite games ever. But yeah, and then just had a week off last week, and then now back into Gloucester Hartpury training this week, ready for Loughborough at the weekend.
There's never any let up, is there?
No, not really. You have to squeeze your holidays in.
Yeah. Did you manage to get away last week, or were you just hour and hour at home?
Yeah, I went to Nice for a few days, and then went over to Jersey.
No, Nice, not nice. Oh, seriously? Oh, lovely.
Yeah,
get some good weather. Nice.
Yeah, it was in Nice. It was so sunny. Yeah, a bit of a tan, which always helps.
Bonus, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So before we sort of touch on your career as a whole, you left it. I want to say you left it a bit late against France, but it was quite an exciting game because at half time you kind of had the game set a match really, and they came fighting back. But that's what you expect from a French side that are on the up.
Okay, sorry, thank you. Sorry. Yeah, no, it was yeah, the first half we were literally like, oh my god, couldn't quite believe it. Obviously the heat was so much. I think obviously we had the crowd behind us, which all gave us that extra bit of oomph. And then we kind of came in at half time, we knew they were going to come out like absolutely roaring, and I think we were all ready for it, but we just couldn't quite like get that second half like back into our grasp. Like we didn't quite control it as well as we would have liked to, but I keep telling people we did it for the entertainment.
Yeah, and you've had to step up, haven't you, really, into a leadership role, because of course I think it was I think one of the games up at Newcastle Falcons, you'd lost obviously Sarah Hunter, everyone will know as leading England to the World Cups and everything. So to lose her and for you to step up, that's quite a big responsibility for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's obviously I've been quite involved with like the leadership groups and the strategy groups for the last few years, and so I've kind of obviously seen what needs to be done, and obviously I've had Sunter as my leader, so she's been a great role model to have, and I do obviously captain at Gloucester Hartpury as well, so I do have like a little bit of experience in it, but obviously it's completely different leading your club to your country. But I think I did all right. It's just a lot more like mental thinking, like each week, like you've got to think about like the strategies going into the game, and you've got to deliver it to the team. You've got to make sure in training that you're sticking to it and like driving those messages in training and stuff. So it is quite a big step up and a big responsibility taking that role.
Yeah, I was just going to say, actually, it is a responsibility, isn't it? Especially when you've got Steph, kind of following in your footsteps, if you would. So do you feel that extra burden of responsibility when it's people that you've kind of, from where you're from? There's always that closeness, isn't there? I'm not saying you're not close with the other people, but there's that kind of link, isn't there, to home as well?
Yeah, definitely. Like I always watch, if I ever watched like the Bucks Girls, I was like, oh, come on, Steph. But no, it's definitely not a burden. Like I think it's nice to have that responsibility, to have those players that you look up to, and like you put your arm around and like get them through training, or like give them like an extra tip here and there. So I think that it's always quite nice to be able to do that. And obviously a responsibility as me as a player that's got a bit of experience as well. I think it is my responsibility to build that next generation, and especially when they're from Scarborough, I'll do anything to help them. So
yeah, and I know everybody was buzzing when they got back from the trip to Twickenham that you'd you'd taken the time to go and speak to them and have some photographs done. That was lovely. Really good.
Yeah, I did to see them.
Yeah,
I did get a chance to see them after the game, and we had a few photographs and stuff, which was really nice.
It was the same day as our senior presentation evening here at the club, so we were kind of getting everything ready here and then watching the game, and then everybody waiting for everybody to come back to come in and join us that had been at Twickenham. So it was a really exciting day.
Oh, nice. That's really good. No, it was lovely to have them down. Yeah.
So I guess, Zoe, we're probably best to look at your career as a whole, coming from St Martin's Scorby School, where I've been to Scorby School.
Yeah, I was at Scorby
School, so
a long time.
That's three of us. What was it like playing rugby at 9? I know we've got that iconic photo of you amongst the lads in front of the old at the old clubhouse. What was it like first playing rugby here in Scarborough at just the age of 9?
I think so I was quite a sporty child. Like I used to do like absolutely everything, but obviously I was the only girl in rugby. But I think I took it in my stride well, and I think the boys were actually quite welcoming, especially when they knew I could hold my own. But I do remember one of my first times I was trying to do learning how to do contact, and we learned how to tackle on our knees. And then when we went into an actual game, one of the boys was running at me, and I just dropped to my knees to try and tackle him. They were like, "No, so you need to stay on your feet to tackle." That was just a drill. So yeah, I do remember that one. But I think at Scarborough, I always had the support. Obviously, Keith Marshall was my coach, and when I left to come down to Hartpury, he always welcomed me back whenever in summer. I always did pre-season with them still and stuff, and he was a massive influence on me today as a player. He really drove the sportsmanship and the hard work that is part of my game today.
Well, that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
So just going back to what you've experienced over the last couple of years, how do you find coming back after injury, and what kind of things do you do to make that a quick recovery and allow you to carry on your path?
So I think injuries are one of the hardest things that you do come across in sport, because obviously you get injured and then you're kind of isolated away from the team, and it's your own responsibility to kind of do the work to get back and to be back on the pitch. The team are trying to achieve their goals, but you're trying to come back into that team and be part of that team again. So it is one of the hardest parts, because you do have a lot of alone time and you're in the gym on your own, those sorts of things. But I think it's just really important to have little goals that you set, and making for me, I don't like to be fully invested in rugby in the early stages of an injury, just because I like to be aware from it, come to terms with it, and then as I progress, I like to get more involved on the off-field side of stuff. So I still creating those game plans, and that's when I'm coming back into it, I like to know as much as possible, so then when I am ready back playing, I can just slot back in it's seamless. So I think just if you're injured, I think it's just about having those little tiny goals, and you are going to have setbacks, but it's most injuries have a little setback at some point. So it's just coping with that side of things. It's
all part of the process, isn't it, really?
It is all part of the process, and to be honest, I'm a really bad injured person, so I'm not the best to get advice from, but
I imagine that was even significantly harder in the World Cup final, because I imagine, Zoe, that all of us here at the club, when obviously you had to leave the field, were absolutely gutted for you, because take the result aside, just seeing you in the World Cup final was unbelievable for us all. That must have been so hard for you to take.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously at the time I was I'm going to be back on the pitch. I was literally in the physio room begging them to put me back on the pitch, but they weren't having any of it. So I had to sit on the sidelines, which was pretty tough to do. But it's part of it, and you cannot write what happens. I try not to think about that day too much, but it was very tough.
Yeah, and you've been on an unbelievable unbeaten run as well under Simon Middleton. We were saying before we came on, it kind of not replicates how our Valkyries have done here at Scarborough, and you've probably seen, but they've had an unbelievable season as well. So it seems and feels like women's rugby in a whole is in such a great place at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. That I think last Saturday, like it just felt like a change in women's rugby. Like the amount of people we had supporting, like the streets were lined with fans, and it was just an absolute amazing day. Like, and I think you could just feel the change that's happened in women's rugby. Like the amount of people that are involved with it that want to support it now, is absolutely incredible. And obviously, you have clubs like the Valkyries who are doing really well in the north, and obviously there isn't so much like higher level rugby in the north, but I think that's having teams like the Valkyries in it is the starting block to build rugby in the north. And if we can keep growing players in the north and making a pathway up there, then I think it's a really good starting point for the future.
We've got some help from the RFU as well over the next few years in helping promote female refs and coaches for the women's game. So that's something that we're hopefully, you know, going to be successful with and working with them on. So yeah, everything's going in that direction, which is just brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, that's amazing, because like even women who don't feel like they could participate in like a contact sport, then they can have those other routes like in coaching and refereeing, which is a really good opportunity.
I'd love to see some female refs coming through from Scarborough.
Oh yeah.
You know, it would be amazing.
Do you have any currently?
I have one lady who's starting out on her path, but we don't have anybody at the moment that I can kind of call on. But yeah, we're hoping that will change.
Okay, that's cool. That's really exciting.
Amazing, wouldn't it? It would be amazing. Zoe, we've also picked out quite some niche facts about you as well that we've seen on your
media, which, I feel like I know what's coming.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
There's quite a few interesting ones. I mean, I had no idea you appeared on Question of Sport as well, which is completely unbelievable. I wanted to also ask though about this knitted doll of Johnny Wilkinson. Does that doll still feature as a part of your match day routine every game?
He actually doesn't anymore. I'm not gutted. I actually got rid of him after the World Cup. Like until then, he was a diehard in my packing bag. But he has stopped coming with me now. And I'll tell you why. Basically, I just like before that World Cup, I had so many like superstitions. Like I need to do this, need to do this, need to do this. And it didn't work. So I thought nothing actually matters now. Like the only thing that actually works is like a bit of hard work and like getting it right on the actual day. And there's nothing that can like get you to that, because obviously I ended up getting knocked out whatever on the day, and like nothing could have written that. So yeah, so now I do not have any superstitions, and yeah, it's actually quite calming, because I like don't have to think about it. It's quite easy,
quite a relief, really.
I'm just like, what happens today?
Yeah. It must be a relief not to have to worry as to whether you've packed Johnny Wilkinson or not. I think so.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, and obviously we touched on some of your highlights as well. You have obviously captained England as well on your 25th birthday, also bagging a try, which you know is just a nice the icing on the cake as well. Another really proud moment for you, and imagine one for your family as well.
Yeah, no, that week was like incredible. From the moment Mids asked me to be captain, I just was not expecting it at all, and I was actually out the hotel at the time, and he was like, "Can you come down? I just need to speak to you." And I was like, "Oh, sorry, Mids, I'm not in the hotel right now." And so I like quickly zoomed back, and we had a little chat. But no, it was just like really nice to like have that much value. And he was like, the team respects you so much, and we just think you'd be like for this game the perfect person to be able to do it. And obviously there were like having to see like people who could captain or like could take a leadership role, like because obviously the new Sunter was coming to the end of her career. So no, it was an amazing opportunity, and that week was just obviously incredible, because I got obviously nominated for World Player, and it was my birthday, so yeah, it was a very good week.
Oh, amazing. What are your plans for the summer?
So for this one, we've got 5 weeks off. I'm hoping to go to Bali for a couple of weeks.
Oh wow.
And then yeah, apart from that, I don't have too much more planned. So
will you be visiting us? Will you be coming back to Silveroyd at all?
Yeah, I will be popping out. It's my mum's 60th birthday this year, actually. So I've got a weekend at home, and then I think in July as well, I'll be at home some point as well.
Oh, fabulous! Have you seen a lot of changes? You've seen a lot of changes here at Scarborough.
I'm actually coming up to the paddle tennis opening, so I'll be up there then.
Marvelous. That was one of the things I was going to ask you about, actually, all of the work that we've done here and how much it's changed over the years, you know, that you've obviously been visiting us when you come home.
Yeah, like massive. Obviously, when I first started, we were down the road at the old rugby club, which is like a classic rugby club. Obviously, the smell of deep heat in your face. And then obviously now it's like an amazing facility up at Silver Royd. And yeah, it's really cool. It's worlds apart from what I'm used to now. well, not now, but what I was used to. Yeah, it's amazing now.
Yeah. You really should see it, Zoe, on a Sunday, especially with the amount of girls that are playing and are participating. It's unbelievable. I mean, what advice would you give any of our current players that are maybe sort of aspiring to be in your shoes or in Steph's shoes? What would you sort of say to them?
I would literally just say, like, make sure you enjoy it, because if you don't enjoy it, then you're not going to want to push on to strive for that, to be better. But also making sure you have that work rate in you, like work hard for what you do, because like you never know where it can take you. Like when I was young playing at Scarborough, I had no idea where I'd be today. But I just used to like get stuck in, like work hard, and I really, really did enjoy it when I was playing when I was younger. And I think like embracing, like spending those time with your teammates, like getting to know those bonds as well, like it keeps you wanting to be in the sport, which I think is an amazing thing, and what other sports don't really have. Like rugby is such a special sport because you have so many different characters, like you can be any body shape or size, and I think it's just an amazing sport to be part of. So I would definitely stick at it, and yeah, it's a very, very good spot.
Brilliant.
Have you seen our very own Abby Bowes and what she's been up to the last season? Because that's some record, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, definitely. I have. I actually spoke to her, was it last summer? Because we were speaking about she wasn't quite sure if she wanted to move away from home, and I literally just said to her, I was like, you don't have to move away from home. Like if you're good enough, it'll happen. And like she obviously has that athletic work rate in her, so she does her weightlifting and stuff as well. So I think if she just keeps pushing on, like she will get there eventually. So I said there's not much pressure in her like having to move away from home, and as well, if the women's rugby keeps going the way it does, like the North is going to have a Premiership side up there. So it'll come.
For sure.
Yeah, amazing, Zoe.
Brilliant. Yeah, thank you
so much for taking the time to chat to us today.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. And will I see you next week? Is it 2 weeks?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, we shall. Yeah. We'll make sure. It'll be good to see you. Yeah. Safe trip back, and enjoy your summer, I think is the best message to leave you with, isn't it?
Well, thank you very much for listening to this bonus episode of From the Touchline here at Silver Royd. We're back for season 3, but this was a bonus episode with Zoe Aldcroft. So thank you, Zoe, and thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.